Papasquatjon, coming at you. I'm only doing a couple of videos today because, well, it's already almost 1 o'clock in the morning and I have to be up super early because I have to be up super early. And I have a job interview tomorrow, like a preliminary thing, which is the first one I've had in, let's see, 9 months. And that includes so many job applications going out and resumes being sent and talking to people, and this is my first actual interview. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But anyway, I have some stuff to do early tomorrow, so I'm going to try and get as much sleep as I can, which is going to be maybe 5 hours, probably 4.5. And but I wanted to do something, so we're going to do heylog. This is where I belong. This is a 4-minute long track. This came out 3 years ago. Let's see, I've got some information about this track actually. Let's move this stuff around. This is where I belong from heylog, produced by heylog, came out in April of 2021. Let's go down the page and find out what this is about. The cover art comes from Orion Carlotto's poetry and prose collection Flux. That's a cool looking cover. It's definitely based on like tarot cards back in the day. I forget what that tarot set is called. I used to sell a lot of tarot sets. I worked at a distribution company, and Llewellyn is a big publisher of tarot decks, and they've been around for years and years and years at this point. But yeah, sold a lot of tarot decks. Anyway, this song from heylog is pop independent singer-songwriter, alternative pop, and emo. And that's it. That's all that needs to be said. Like I said, came out in 2021, sent in by Meller. Meller's new to the channel. So Meller, thank you very much for sending some money in. You had 2 tracks that you wanted me to listen to. I think both were from heylog. So I will do the other heylog track very soon, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But let's check this out. This is where I belong. Let's go. Does he do the echoey thing on his voice? I don't know.
The birds all sing.
Yep.
Beautiful song. Light beams through. This is where I belong. Peaceful people who fear the tall. They mimic them and love to mock. Women from different countries. I feel pressured, there's people watching me. Pull you in with the sound of harmonies. They say this kid's gifted with poetry.
What is he saying? The birds all sing a beautiful song, light beams through. This is where I belong. Peaceful people who fear to talk. They mimic them and love to mock. Women from different countries. And love to mock women from different countries? Sure. I feel pressured. There's people watching me. Pull you in with the sound of harmonies. They say this kid's gifted with prodigy. So is he saying he likes being here? This is where I belong. Okay, this is where I belong. Peaceful people who fear to talk. Okay, so everybody's private, quiet. They mimic them and love to mock women from different countries. Those might be 2 separate lines. It's a little weird. Let's keep going. We'll see if this makes more sense. Does sound nice. The guitar is nice. The birds tweeting is very nice. It seems very peaceful.
Occupied, I'm tired of people. That look in your eyes tells me you are deceitful. You live knowing this time your whole act has been a lie. You
I like how he's kind of amping it up and amping it up and amping it up. I mean, it's not super strong until we get to this chorus, and it sounds fantastic. I love the break before this chorus. I'll back up a little bit. I mean, it's really quite good.
Our dies. The birds all sing a beautiful song. Light beams down, this is where I belong. Peaceful people who fear to talk. They mimic them and love to mock. Women from different countries, I feel pressured. There's people watching me. Pull you in with the sound of harmonies. They say this kid's gifted with prodigy.
Nice.
Yeah, you better run from me, I said. I'm used to this and being lonely. Conversations don't extend where I'm short of words, I guess I don't feel like talking. Sparing my life, it's just begun. I'm just trying to get us back, but I know we're done. Growing old too fast, I'm just sort of run. Problems chasing me behind, know that they won't.
Okay, I hate you. You're so annoying.
Huh. I am very curious about exactly what he's trying to communicate with this. Because he doesn't paint a nice picture, even though he is telling us this is where he belongs. And the music is telling us this is where it's peaceful here for him. It's nice for him. But he is frustrated and angry about it. And that's why the builds and builds, and he gets louder and louder and louder. He feels pressure. There's people watching him. He wants to retreat. He doesn't want to deal with people. And it's interesting. I mean, it definitely sounds and feels like somebody who's pulling into themselves in order to deal with a situation that they don't want to be living in, right? I mean, this feels like all of our lives. You know what I mean? There are things we want to do, and everything else we just have to put up with. And he's sick of putting up with it. That's what I get out of this. He's tired of putting up with this, but he still has to do it. He has to keep doing it. Because there's people watching him, and even if he's gifted prodigy, he still has to deal with people who don't want to talk, which he doesn't mind, people who make fun of other people, people from different countries, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, like in the way he's talking about it. Yeah, you better run from me. I said I'm used to this and being lonely. So I'm used to people running away from me. I'm used to being lonely. Conversations don't extend when I'm short on words. I guess I don't feel like talking. Like, I don't want to interact with you. It doesn't matter. Spare my life. It's just begun. I'm still trying to get us back, but I know we're done. Okay, so there's a relationship knot, right? Like, we should be together, but I know that's not going to happen. Growing old too fast. I'm too slow to outrun. Problems chasing me, but I know that they won. Yeah. Everything's awful, and I just gotta live my life and put up with it until I am gone. And maybe I'll have some brief moments of happiness, or at least being content with where I'm at, right? Growing old too fast. I'm too slow to outrun. It's interesting. I think about time a lot, and that line makes sense to me. Growing old too fast. Um, when I think of time passes different for everybody, and time will pass different for you as you age. Um, and I don't mean that in a like an insulting way. I mean that in a the longer you live, the faster time goes because the time that's passing makes up less of your overall lifespan. So when you're 10 years old, when you're 5 years old, a year of your life is 20% of the time you've been on the planet. When you're 50 years old, a year of your life is 1/50th of the time you've been on this planet. And so I guess that's like 2% of your time. Um, and I think that's significant. And the reason I think about this stuff is I think about things like, let me pick an artist. I think about people like, when I think about music, I think about the people that are coming out now and that older people always say about musicians now, like, oh, it's like, I don't like this stuff, it's too different, it's too weird. What are these kids talking about? Like, they've got it so much easier just because they have no clue. Um, and they want to hear the music that they liked when they were your age. Like, that's the stuff that's in their head for, like, oh yeah, that was a good time period in my life. Well, they don't get to determine what is a good soundtrack for your life. You get to determine that. And again, talking about time and how time passes and music, kind of how they're connected in my head, when somebody my age talks about, let's see, an artist might come out with, oh, here's a good example. An artist might come out with a new album, like The Cure, say. The Cure was huge in the 80s and into the 90s. Huge, huge, huge band. They were growing, like getting bigger and bigger and bigger during the 80s, and then they really exploded at the end of the 80s and into the 90s. Like humongous, much like REM, much like U2, much like that potentially would have been In Excess. Like those bands like really, really grew up in the 80s and exploded in the late 80s and the 90s. And when I think about The Cure, I think, oh yeah, they had some great music. And there are many people out there in the world who are in their teens, 20s, even 30s, who have no clue who The Cure are and could not care less about the fact that they have a new album coming out. And when The Cure was younger, they put out a lot of music because they were younger and time was passing very slowly for them so they could make more and more music. And as they got more successful, they also happened to get older and they stopped making music because times passed much more quickly. And so it seemed like they had to spend a lot more time to make this music than compared to how they used to do it. And it stopped being interesting. Like that's my take on it, right? Like people have to be inspired to do this stuff. And I find it really interesting that so many people who are young and making music just create, and then as you get older, you create a whole lot less. And it's not that you run out of ideas, it's that I think it's too much work. Maybe you do run out of ideas. I don't know. I don't run out of ideas. But I'm also not successful, so I guess they're not very good ideas. Anyway, I find it really interesting. I think about time frequently, and I think about music a lot, and how the two of them cross over. And I don't really remember why I brought this up other than this line, growing old too fast, I'm too slow to outrun. Growing old too fast. It's very true. That the time that you spend as a kid kind of sets up your expectations for how quickly time will pass in the future, and it doesn't. It just goes faster and faster and faster. And so I think that affects the way people create. I know it affects the way people create. Anyway, I'm just talking. I should probably compose my thoughts more before I start talking, but I I do a reaction channel, and so this is the stuff that I think about as I'm going through and listening to the song, and I think about time, and so then I talk about it here. Sorry if that's all confusing. It's very confusing. Um, there you go, Miller. That was a really good track. I like heylog a lot, so it doesn't shouldn't surprise you that I like this track. And I like that it didn't go completely overboard on the processing on his voice and like really peak the meters and get too awful loud. I thought this was actually pretty restrained for him, and it sounded really good. Quite a good track from 2021. Yeah, I really like heylog stuff. That's it for this one. Papa Squat. Check it. Please like, subscribe, and share. Go check out another video on the channel, please. And if you want me to react to something, CashApp, PayPal, and Patreon information is down in the description of this video. Those are the ways to get me to react to something. That is what Meller did. Meller sent me some money and sent me this song and another heylog track, so we'll get to that one soon. Have yourself a good day. I will be back. I need to get this stuff done and uploaded and go to bed. Bye-bye. Hey, you know what? Actually, I just thought of this. This is very sad. We have some cats, and the really super sweet, nice black kitty, who I'm sure has appeared at some point on this channel, just disappeared yesterday from our house, and our apartment. I don't think he ran out the front door, which is possible, but he's never done that before. He's not one of those cats that bolts out the front door. He just doesn't do it. And so I think what happened is he was out on our balcony. We're on the 3rd floor, and I think, totally making this up, right? I don't know. I think he likes to go on the outside of the bars on the thin strip of concrete that's out there, and I think he fell. We're only on the 3rd floor, so I'm sure he's fine. He's very light. He's athletic, as cats are. And but I think there was either a loud noise or the other cats were fighting or something, and he fell off the edge. And it's really not good. He's so sweet and so not smart, and has never been an outdoor cat. And he was like the sweetheart. He was the baby of my stepdaughter, and I really hope we find him. I really hope we find him, because he is a sweetie. He is the nicest cat. And it's also really weird because people who've been with the channel for a long time might remember last year, right around this time, about 2 weeks ago last year, my cat, the big orange one that jumps up here every now and again and bites me, disappeared and was gone for like 3 months. And he was just around the area here in our apartment complex, it turns out. Like, I found him over by the trash compactor. There's a building with a trash compactor. And I really hope that this cat finds someplace safe that it can hide out, and we find him soon, because I don't hold out much hope for him. He's not made for it. He's not made for. He would walk right up to a dog and say, "Hey, how are you?" I mean, he would walk up to a coyote. He would walk up to a bear. It's really upsetting, and I have no power over the situation, no control at all, and it sucks, guys. I hate it. And I hate it especially for my stepdaughter, because it's like her little sweetie. I mean, it's her little boy. It's awful. It's awful. Anyway, have yourself a good day. I'm going to try to have a good day. And I will be back. Bye-bye.